spent my first 15 years trying to get out of the woods because I thought it was horrible. And I spent the next 20 years trying to get back. The truth of the matter is we need to be well-rounded individuals like our forefathers were.
Howdy, folks. Steve here with Mountain Readiness again, trying to wash your Monday blues away. And tonight we have a really awesome guest. I'm super excited about having this guest on here. But before we get to that, guys, remember, like, click, subscribe, hit the buttons, make the algorithm gods show favor upon us to push us out to all the people in social media land. We appreciate it, and yeah, get us out there for us. So we've got a lot of people in the house. We've got the Eden Army. We've got Patrick Seven, Matt King. My man Matt King is up there. Sandra Davis, K Love. We've got everybody's filtering in. Before we get started, guys, remember Mountain Readiness is coming up in just another little over a month. So remember Mountain Readiness. If you have not bought your tickets yet, get those at www.mountainreadiness.com. Prices go up October the 1st, and get some savings. We want you to save money, especially in this time of the dollar is stretched to the max. There's Emily Casting Craft in the house. Good to see you, Emily. Thanks for joining us tonight. So one last thing, of course, we need sponsors to make all these wheels keep turning. And one sponsor we hold near and dear to us that sponsored Fallout this year is FIB Preparedness, and that blocked our faces out. I suck at this social media. Don't know how to make that go to the side. It's not my thing, but check out FIB Preparedness. These guys sponsored us, and they do some great work with gear. They will also be a vendor at Mountain Readiness Fallout this October. So thank you, FIB Preparedness, for being a sponsor of our event. So without further ado, guys, I want to introduce our guest tonight. Our guest is Rodney Herrington, and he is the inventor of the H2Go and the CEO as well. This amazing product, which I own 2 of these right now. If you don't have one, check the link in our bio. We've got that up there on our site. And you, by the end of this show, if you don't want one, you just don't care about life-saving water. That's just what it is. Rodney, thank you for being a part of our show tonight, sir.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here.
Exactly. And we appreciate that. And so, guys, if you've got a question for Rodney, just throw that up there. Questions, type H2Go, and I will flag that, and then we will run through those questions as we move through the show tonight. So we've got more people. Can't wait for Fallout. I cannot either. 3 days of no sleep. I'm looking forward to it. So, Rodney, first and foremost, we talked quite a bit before we jumped on to the live stream tonight, but tell people about kind of how this invention right here, how it come to pass, what you've been doing with it. Give us a little history and background.
Okay, well, I was a founder of a company 30 years ago called MIOX, M-I-O-X, stands for mixed oxidants. And we had developed this electrolytic technology and began commercializing it. And we were working with we're here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We were working with some people at Sandia Labs, and they introduced us to DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. and they were looking for a system for us to develop a system that could treat any water anywhere to US EPA drinking water. So they began funding us to develop that system. And it took two components. One is filtration and the other is disinfection. So I'm going to mention this other company briefly, but Aqua Research is the disinfection side, and my other company, Aqua Membranes, is the membrane filtration company. I'm not going to talk about that too much. This is primarily for chlorination, which is, in my opinion, the life-saving component because it kills bugs. So we developed the technology commercially and then developed these small systems for the military. And the original version of this that I invented was the MSR Myox purifier, which was commercialized by Mountain Safety Research out of Seattle, deployed by the Marines. It's pretty good numbers and in the outdoor market. But for a variety of reasons, I left Myox in 2010 and I started Aqua Research. And we had about 1,500 blog comments on the original MSR Myox purifier. And it used lithium camera batteries that, treat 200 liters and then you had to replace the batteries. There wasn't it only had a capacity up to 4 liters, but per application. But anyway, when I left, I said, well, lithium camera lithium ion rechargeable batteries are much more prevalent in cell phones now, and solar panels are getting cheap. And so decided to come up with the concepts, at least for this device. And we took the 1,500 blog comments that we had on the MSR purifier and addressed every one of them in this new device. And they were more capacity, up to 5-gallon capacity per treatment, with a gallon jerry can. And then also put a rechargeable battery in it. That was easy to do. Put a solar panel on it. Make it more consistent in terms of dosing. And the other one was make it less expensive. So the original MSR Myox purifier was selling retail for about $140, and we're selling this H2Go now for about $114 on our website, Amazon, other places. So anyway, I've been developing it a long time. We also developed a commercial line of products. So this is scalable technology, and so we have built some pretty large systems that have been deployed in a lot of different applications, for hospital sanitation to drinking water to cooling towers to aquatic swimming pools. So lots of different things. But this one's near and dear to my heart because we developed it so that individuals could treat their own water and not rely on infrastructure. And in developing countries, there's not a lot of infrastructure. The government doesn't do water distribution lines. People are on their own. And so essentially it's the same purpose here. If the grid goes down or anything goes down, you're going to need to find water is going to be pretty important. You can live for a few days without it, but you got to have water, and it needs to be safe water so it doesn't kill you. So.
Absolutely. And we have quite a few Florida people that are in the house, and they know all too well about needing clean drinking water with all the hurricanes that come through and such things. So guys, if you're not sure what we got going on here, so the MSR Myox was the first development for a water purifier based off of chlorine, but it used batteries and the technology wasn't there until recently with these here, the H2Go's. So guys, what we've got here is for a little over $100. This thing is the size of smaller than the palm of my hand, and it is full solar powered. You got solar. It comes with a charger. Get a charger with it, but it is solar capable, and you get your test strips for this thing, and then your instruction manual and a handy little carrying case on top of it. And I have been asked, I don't know, hundreds of times in the preparedness community, people, they say, I live in the city, how can I have clean drinking water at my disposal? Well, guys, this is it right here. This is it. So I was not up to par on my education of chlorine. Give us a little rundown of chlorine, how it started, what its uses were, where it's derived from, the process, if you don't care.
Okay, so in the 1800s, mid to late 1800s, scientists were playing with chlorine and could see that it killed microorganisms. But nobody wanted to stick their neck out, and put it in drinking water on a large scale until 1908 in New Jersey. And the health director there for the city had to figure out how to dose chlorine safely into the drinking water. And he did that. And in Boonton, New Jersey was the first city in the United States that had widespread chlorine in the water supply. And the effects were pretty dramatic in terms of reduction of typhoid and cholera. So in 1900, not very well known, the life expectancy in the United States was 47 years. By 1940, we were chlorinating all the major cities in the United States, and the life expectancy had gone to 63 years. That's a 16-year increase, primarily off of treatment of drinking water. Now, our device is not a filter, okay? But the more important aspect is disinfection. It's killing the bugs. So you can drink a little bit of dirty water. You can eat the dirt, but you don't want to eat the bugs. So this device kills the bugs in the water, and whether it's clean looking water or dirty water. So the idea was to put the capability to treat their own water in their hands. So any freshwater source from a lake, river, stream, puddle, rainwater, it doesn't make any difference. You can gather some of that water, and this thing will dose that water properly to kill all the bugs in the water. And it's got 5 settings on it: 1, 2, 5, 10, and 20 liters. That's for the global. And it'll put a 2.5 part per million dose, which is essentially the World Health Organization dose standard for chlorine in found water. So in any event, it's, we designed this thing so that people can treat their own water, make it safe to drink. It's not necessarily clear water, but you can eat the dirt. My mom always said, you got to eat a pound of dirt before you die anyway. But anyway, killing the bugs is the important part. And that's what chlorine does. A lot of people have been concerned about chlorine. You're putting this poison in my water, but it poisons the bugs. It doesn't poison you. And you're putting it at 2 parts per million to 5 parts per million, which is an extremely low level. So it does the job killing the bugs. So
yes, and so we had Eden Army. He said, H2Go, love the product. The question I've been asked is, what is the benefit to carrying the H2Go as opposed to just some chlorine?
No.
I have something to throw. What's your take? And then I'm going to throw my 2 cents in there.
All right. Well, under the DARPA contract, they wanted a disinfectant that was as powerful as it could be to keep soldiers safe. So we had a lot of federal dollars. Appreciate you taxpayers helping us out. And we did a lot of bug studies, polymerase chain reaction studies on the hardest bug to kill. That's Cryptosporidium. And as we optimized the design of the device, there were settings we could do. Some of this we keep as trade secret, but we found that we could optimize the performance of this thing to not only strip electrons off of chloride to make chlorine, but we could strip electrons off of oxygen in the water, H2O, to make peroxide. And the combination of the 2 of them is a very potent disinfectant. So peroxide, oxygen typically has got a 2,000 millivolts energy it takes to strip electrons, but chloride is only 1,400. So the additional oxidant strength that we get from the peroxide is what makes this thing so potent. It's different than bleach. It'll kill things in the water that bleach will not kill. And that basically addresses, I think, the question that was asked.
Yes. And something I want to throw on here too is is just having the capability for proper dosing as well, because he said, versus carrying chlorine with you. Well, dosing wise, I don't know if you guys can see this, is it actually has numbers. It's got a 1, looks like 1, 2, 5, 10, and 20 liters. So you've got a little bottle here, guys, and just so everybody's on the same page, there's a little line at the bottom. This thing makes clean water from salt. Doesn't matter what salt. I even asked Rodney, I said, how about water softener salt? He said, yes, any salt. Any salt.
Any sodium chloride salt. Okay.
Sodium chloride salt.
Rock salt, table salt, softener salt, you name it. If it's salt, even road salt, would do
road
it.
Salt. So, and you have, let's just go over the functions of this. So you've got solar on the back. We got power. We don't rechargeable batteries. Don't have to worry about plugging in if we don't have if we can't. You have two little storage areas at the top here, and those are both. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Rodney, both of those storage areas at the top are the amounts that you need for your bottle, correct?
There's a line on the bottom, and the volume in each one of those storage containers will fill it to that line. So you just pour all the salt in one of those chambers to the line in that bottle, add water. It can be dirty water, shake it, dissolve it, make salt water. And now you've got about 15 doses of that thing to operate it.
Right.
So the volume you selected on there, 1, 2, 5, 10, or 20 liters, is the water amount that you've collected. So you collect the water, you basically know what the volume is, and you select that volume. And when you operate that by holding the button down for 2 seconds, it'll make the right amount of chlorine to put the right dose in that volume of water. So you don't have to calculate anything. You don't have to measure anything. It automatically calculates and it puts the right dose in the water.
Right. I mean, the exact dose, guys, and it comes from salt. So I've got my little notes here. I need my notes. But 10 gallons of water per day for 10 years capabilities, and you're looking at about 50 cents a year worth of salt. Right. Is what it comes down to.
Now the battery will treat 240, roughly 300 liters of water per charge. Okay. And the way we get to 10 gallons is 10 gallons is 70 gallons a week, about 240, 250 liters a week, about the volume of one charge. So you can run this thing for a week, producing about 10 gallons, 40 liters a day, 10 gallons of safe water. And then you have to recharge it. Now there's 50 weeks a year, and you can recharge it like your cell phone at least 500 times. That's 50 a year times 5. It's 10 years. And all it costs is about a Morton's container of salt per year to operate. So it's about 50 cents a year. And most people are never counting the cost of salt. They've got it everywhere, including in military MREs. So you can get salt anywhere. I've never been anywhere. You can't ask somebody about bringing you salt and they'll bring you salt. So it's ubiquitous. And so that makes it very powerful that it's the only consumable. One other thing you pointed out was the charging on the solar. It does have a USB on the bottom too. So you can charge it if you have a USB charger.
Now, I'd love to know, with good sun, what are you looking at from dead to a full charge? What was with using the solar?
So it takes, to get a full charge, it takes about 3 days of solar exposure, about 24 hours. It's not as quick as USB. USB, you can charge it like your cell phone about 4 or 5 hours. The solar panel, we're limited in volume or real estate on the device, but it's enough to produce several liters of water a day of drinking water. If you've got 3 days, you can leave it out in the sun, you get the full charge on the thing. So it'll treat, it'll treat lots of water, even on 1 day of solar charging.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, this is to me, this is a no-brainer. Why for $100? And look, guys, 114. We've got a affiliate code. If you put in M readiness in the checkout, you get another like $6-7 off. You can't, cheap, life-saving, thousands of gallons, capable, and fits right into your pocket. Water in the palm of your hand right there, just packing around. This is an amazing product. It's a no-brainer for me. That's why I bought two. Now, you had said before, so guys, you have two different ones. You have the H2Go Global, and then you have the H2Go Prime, which is the black one. And then the Global is 2 parts per million, correct?
2.5, you're right. Mm-hmm.
Or 2.5. And then
Prime is 5.
Prime is the 5.
Okay.
Now, the Prime, you had invented this. This was made for military, right? This was the military use one.
So the U.S. military, under their regulations, want a 5 part per million dose in water for soldiers. Okay. Now, interestingly, the U.S. EPA has a limit of 4 in municipal drinking water. Okay. But the military knows that guys are going to swap hydration bags, or they're going to have a half full hydration bag and take it to a creek and fill it with more dirty water. And they want a strong enough dose in the water to be able to compensate for any added water, or for guys, swapping containers. So in the developing world, the World Health Organization has a standard of 2 parts per million. They know that people in the developing countries don't like the taste of chlorine per se. So they try to minimize the dose to the dose that is effective enough for killing the bugs, but not so overpowering that, people don't like the taste of chlorine. So that's the reason for the World Health Organization standard at 2. Ours is actually 2.5. And we call it the global for worldwide. And the Prime is for military applications or the U.S. market, because the people in the United States are generally accustomed to chlorine in their water. And it's a good thing, because we don't have typhoid, we don't have cholera anymore. And
typhoid, not something that you really want around.
No.
In this day and age.
The life expectancy in 1900, back when it was 47, was only 47 years. But it's interesting to note that 1 in 5 children died before the age of 5, primarily because of typhoid or cholera or things like that. So it's a great invention. It's
been working.
It's the cheapest bang for the buck you can get.
Working for over 100 years so far. So you had also mentioned, now let's talk about humanitarian. So you have been testing this over in less fortunate countries, Africa, Haiti, all these type of areas for, and that's what Matt King said. He said, H2Go, how long did it take to develop and test this product? So you've been currently doing this for 10 years now.
Yes. So for the first 2 or 3 years, we were evolving the product to address 5 key comments that we had on the original MSR Myox purifier. A battery, rechargeable battery, a solar panel, higher dose capability, or bigger volume capability. And so it took about 2 or 3 years, a lot of iterations, and developing different design concepts, 3D modeling and prototyping. And then after we started getting in production, there were techniques in production that maybe would be cheaper. We tried some of those, they didn't work. We had to change the design to accommodate. So it took about 3 years to really get this to a point. And we worked with Tufts University and Operation Blessing International, NGO, to test 100 of these in Haiti under, real work. And so we found 2 or 3 things there that needed to be improved in the product. And then we fully launched it. So anyway, it took a while. It's like anything, you play with it and tweak on it and get new ideas. And so, we had a good team of guys.
You got to work out the bugs.
That's right.
And kill them. Pun intended, right?
So, yeah.
Work out the bugs there. So, and to our friend there, Mr. Cat, they will not be available at Mountain Readiness, but if you go to Mountain Readiness and scroll down to our affiliates, click that right there, and it will direct you straight to the site to where you can put your order in and have it shipped. I think I had mine within about 8 days, 9 days, something like that. Both these showed up, and I've been playing with those. So, and then use M Readiness at the checkout and get you additional savings, and they will ship you as many of those as you want straight to your door. But and if you don't, you are crazy. This thing is way too cool not to have a couple of these, at least one of them in your pack. Just for safety's sake.
I just saw a comment that Kat made. Don't drink the water in Haiti. Well, the earthquake occurred in 2010, and it was a pretty major earthquake. And the response people from all over the world came there to help out, and they're the ones that actually introduced cholera in Haiti, and it got in the water supplies. And after that earthquake, 10,000 Haitians died from cholera. They weren't using chlorine. This device would have solved that problem and saved a lot of lives. And there's a bunch of them in Haiti now. We've done a lot of work down there. But any event, so yeah, you don't want to drink the raw water in Haiti. That's for sure.
Right. How many of these do you have currently in other countries? I mean, how many is being used? Do you have a number of that? A lot?
There's quite a lot. 20,000. I don't know, something like. I'm just guessing a number, but that's about what it is.
Yeah, I can't believe that we have not heard of this here. So I'm glad you guys have started pushing this out here, because this is something that everybody should have in their possession, in their home, at least one.
Well, there's 200 million plus people in the United States, and there's 2 billion people on the planet don't have access to safe water. And this would save a lot of lives if we can get it deployed in large numbers. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you know, a lot of y'all out there in social media land that's joining us tonight, you guys have been through some of these. I was down with Hurricane Andrew, Katrina, and we were just talking about this as well, Rodney, is, you know, the new stoves, if you want to just heat your, boil your water, the new stoves don't work without power. So if you have no power, your stove, it shuts the gas supply off if it's a gas stove. And of course, electric, that's a given. So you may not even have the capabilities to boil water if there is a boil water effect in effect. This here saves you that trouble. It does all the work for you. You just need the water to pour it into.
And so, interesting little comment too. This device uses 10,000 times less energy than boiling water. So if you're boiling water with wood, there is no CO2 in the equation on ours. And you're, with boiled water notices or out in the developing world where they're using gas or kerosene or wood, this is a huge contribution to reduction of CO2 emissions. So,
right. And let's see, Cat was saying he was there 4 times in early 2000, used reverse osmosis machine at the compound we were at. And I have this here, I'm sure this is smaller than that reverse osmosis machine that they were using.
Yeah.
Much. So explain to me, this is, so we've already went through, this thing is compact, it's solar, it's rechargeable. The operation of this, so once you pour the water, you put your salt at the bottom, you pour your water in, and you select the amount of water that you want to treat. How long does it take for that to be ready to pour into your water jug?
Okay, it all depends. There's enough salt in that little chamber to make chlorine for 20 liters. Okay.
Yep. And
so we're cooking that salt to the right value to get the right dose for the volume. So at 1 liter treated, it only takes about 10 seconds of electrolysis to produce the amount of chlorine needed to dose it. Okay. If you're doing 20 liters, it's 20 times longer, about almost 3 minutes. So you just lay it on the table and let it cook till it's done. And then you pour that in a 20-liter container. You shake it and wait 30 minutes, and the water is typically safe to drink. So it doesn't make any difference what the volume is. it's the same time, to treat after you shake it and let it sit there so the chlorine does its job on the bugs.
Right. So once you pour that in there, 30 minutes now, from the time that you put it in and shake it up to it being drinkable. So 30 minutes. What about, is there ever any, I mean, what if the water is just atrocious? What if it's just horrible? Should you wait longer than that?
Okay, so there's only one condition where you need to wait longer, and that's for cryptosporidium. Cryptosporidium is a very large cystated organism that's produced typically in cows, for instance, that get it into the water stream some way. So if you're concerned about cryptosporidium, you have to hold chlorine on the water for 4 hours to be sure that it kills it to 3 log. That's 99.9%. Now, all the requirements under the EPA rules, and this thing is legally called a purifier because it meets the EPA guide standard and protocol for testing microbiological water purifiers. It's got to kill virus, it's got to kill bacteria, and it's got to kill protozoa. And it's got to kill them to a certain level of effectiveness. So the EPA has 2 types of water you're supposed to test these things in. One is regular tap water that really has no chlorine demand. And the other is what they call type 2 water. And type 2 water is water that is 5 degrees C centigrade, like 40 degrees to cold, which is not good for chlorine. It has to be 9 pH, which is above neutral pH, which means it's basic, not acid, which means it's not good for chlorine at 9 pH to treat it. It has to be 30 NTU turbidity. That's dirt in the water. In other words, you stick your finger in 30 NTU water and you can't see the tip of it, okay? And the other is 10 TOC, total organic carbon, 10 milligrams of organic carbon in the water. This is dead leaves and sticks and stuff like that, which is heavily chlorine consuming. So under the worst case water, which you rarely would find in the real world, we have to be able to kill virus, bacteria, and protozoa to be able to call it a purifier, which it is. So we've tested, spent thousands of dollars in all these polymerase chain reaction study tests to prove, with independent researchers, to prove that it does all these things. So we did those tests with DARPA. We did the tests with the Marines. We did the tests with Mountain Safety Research on the original device. We've done them subsequently on the H2Go just to be sure it's the same as the original device. So it's effective. It does the job, and it's pretty neat little device in terms of saving lives. So
yeah, no, it's that thing is amazing. I got really excited when I saw you, and I got to give the credit to Scott Stalling with Prepper Talk Radio. I watched you on there with Scott and Prepper Talk. Guys, check out Prepper Talk Radio when you get the chance. Scott is awesome dude. He's got a couple books out, and he's been in the preparedness gig for many years. They're out in Utah, so big props to him for bringing you on there, Rodney, as well. So
okay, let me go back and address one thing about the duration of the water, holding the water. Okay. The other protozoa that you have to test against is Giardia. This is what calls beaver fever, from mountain stream stuff. And in all the testing, if you hold the water for 30 minutes, it will kill all the virus, the bacteria, and Giardia. Okay. Cryptosporidium is the only one that you have to hold for 4 hours, hold a chlorine on. The instructions are all in the manual, but generally speaking, I would go to almost any water source and treat it, dose it, and drink it in 30 minutes. And again, most water that you find does not have all the EPA contaminants or the levels of concern, like the temperature and the pH and all those things. So it generally, I'll never say legally that it takes less than 30 minutes. I have to tell you 30 minutes, but
right.
Anyway.
So we're talking like there is a a watering hole in Africa that all the animals are just standing in, and all that. That's worst case scenario. What we're talking, that type of water.
Well, that it will treat that type of water. We've tested, against horse trough water and stuff like that, puddle water. That water, typically in Africa like that, is not 5 degrees C, and it's
Right.
not 9 pH. It does have the turbidity. It's got the dirt in it to make it cloudy looking, and it probably has the organics in it. So it's not everything that EPA requires you to test again, but it's most of it, So
Most of it.
you test against the worst case stuff that EPA thought of, and that's what we're testing against.
So a couple good questions here, so we'll throw this one up. Does it work similar to a saltwater pool chlorine generator?
Okay. It is the same technology. Okay. These are catalytic coatings on titanium electrodes. And in a saltwater pool, you're actually dumping a few bags of salt in the pool. And you're dumping enough salt to make the electrochlorinator work, but not enough to taste the salt in the water. Okay. So you're trying to keep it below 3,000 milligrams per liter of chlorine in the pool. And it's got an ORP meter in the pool that's measuring oxidation potential, oxidation reduction potential, which can be correlated to chlorine. So as the water circulates through the pool, the ORP meter is monitoring the chlorine in the pool. And if it gets below a certain threshold, then it automatically comes on and turns the electrochlorinator on. So as the water is flowing through that electrochlorinator device, it's converting salt to chlorine. So yes, it is the same type of technology. Of course, there are different configurations, but saltwater pools are one of the huge applications of electrolytic technology worldwide.
Right. Except for it's way bigger than what this is.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we got this compact model. So no, that's awesome to know. Now I see Yucca, he said about what about heavy metals? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say it doesn't help you with that part, wouldn't you say?
Okay, it does not. We add a chemical to the water. We do not take anything out of the water. So it will not remove heavy metals, but it will oxidize iron, to rust. It will oxidize arsenic, for instance, from a state arsenic 3 to arsenic 5. So if you are concerned about those kind of contaminants in the water and you treat it with our device first to oxidize it, and then you run it through a microfilter, for instance, it'll take out those contaminants. Okay.
Wow. I did not think that's the way you broke that down. I would have never thought. That is a great, even for that part. I mean, we're not killing two birds with one stone, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
and if people are, filters have gotten very popular. Okay. The problem with filters is that they load up and then you have to replace them. And, you're continually consuming something. They foul, you got to clean them if you can. And if they break, then you don't know they've broken, and you may be drinking contaminated water when you think you're drinking filtered water. Now, that being said, if you have a microfilter, which are the type you can suck through or gravity flow through, they will remove the bacteria and the protozoa. Okay. So even if you suspect cryptosporidium in the water and you filter it first with a microfilter, and then you add our chlorine to it, you've got very safe water. It's clean looking at that point, and it has the chlorine residual to keep that water safe. So after you've made water clean or safe or whatever and put it in a container, the container may be contaminated. The filter is not going to take out the contamination in the container, but the chlorine will. So that is the real strength of chlorine, is that it kills the bugs and then it keeps on killing if the water continues to get contaminated or the container or the pipeline is contaminated. So that's why the EPA requires a chlorine residual, a detectable chlorine value at the tap in all your houses.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, you're just it's a backup. You know, the pace plan there. You got primary, and then you got alternate, right? So you're just backing up that. And what is there such a thing really as too safe of drinking water? Probably not. I mean,
Well,
if you've got the technology to do it, you know, why not? I've always
but let
wondered
me
this.
let me say too that chlorination is more important than filtration. Okay.
Right.
Filtration removes the dirt and the sticks. And, you know, if you're oxidizing it first and then filtering it to get arsenic out, at the levels that the EPA has for arsenic, for instance, in drinking water, it takes years and years of consumption of that type of water to be a hazard to you. So
Right.
even if you're drinking arsenic that has a limit now of 10 parts per billion in drinking water by EPA, used to be 50 until Clinton administration. They dropped it to 10. But you have to drink that stuff for years to statistically reduce your life expectancy by 2 years or by 2 weeks, let's say. Okay. But if you drink water that's got typhoid or cholera in it, you're dead in 2 or 3 days, you know? So focus on what is really important, and that's killing bugs. And the power of our technology is that it doesn't require an ongoing consumable other than salt. It doesn't require replacement filters. It tells you if it doesn't work right. And so you can, you know, recharge the battery or add salt as appropriate. Filters will fail and you won't know it. So focus on the important thing. And that's what we're doing with this technology, particularly for people in the developing world who hadn't got a pot to piss in, excuse me. But, you know, they can't afford to keep buying filters, but they've got salt. So that's one of the powers of this technology is if you've got it, you can have safe water for a long time, you know, without, you know, worrying about consumables and keeping, you know, things going or cleaning them or all that kind of stuff. So.
Absolutely. So now, Sandra, is there a difference between the chlorine produced here and chlorine used for swimming pools?
Can swimming pool chlorine be used in drinking water? It can, yes. It's not as effective as this mixed oxidant technology we produce, but bleach like Clorox, you know, will work in a pool, and it'll work to make water safe. So I'll sit here and shoot myself in the foot a little bit. I'd love to sell these for boil water notices, okay? But if you have bleach at your house and you get a boil water notice, the reason that the utility is giving you a boil water notice is because they can't guarantee the safety of the water, meaning they can't guarantee there's chlorine residual in the water. They can't guarantee there's no bugs in the water. And that's why they tell you to boil it. And boiling doesn't remove arsenic, and boiling doesn't remove rust. And it doesn't remove the dirt, but it does kill the bugs. And that's the same thing our little purifier does.
Okay? Right. The bacteria, get rid of the bacteria. So now once you mix up your bottle and you pour it in here, the process is you're watching it fizzing. And when it quits fizzing, that's when it's ready to pour into your container, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Right. So guys, like, you know when it's done. They're just a little porthole right there, and you hold it sideways and watch this thing fizz. I watched the video on it. I haven't played with it yet, and maybe I will try. We'll try this out at Mountain Readiness. Somebody, I think Matt King said we should give this a try to check out. Now, something that I did not think of until I heard you talking about it was the for the purposes of disinfectants. You know, that's a great benefit, you know, for medical purposes and stuff like that, being able to disinfect stuff. So hospitals over in these other countries, they're utilizing this for that purpose.
They're generally utilizing. They need a lot more chlorine than that little device can make for volumes. Okay,
right.
So we have large commercial scale generators. Okay, for instance, we put 5 of them in the major cities in Haiti. Okay. And it makes volumes of chlorine that they bottle and distribute it to 168 healthcare facilities in Haiti. Okay. And so in Africa, we have a briefcase type system called Stream that is portable, and it'll operate on 110 or 220 or solar panel or a car battery. And in these remote healthcare facilities, they can make their own chlorine because in a lot of cases they can't get it. But with salt, they can make it, and it makes volumes of chlorine a day. One of those stream units, for instance, will make enough chlorine to treat 60,000 gallons of water to drinking water. Or it'll make, that's a swimming pool worth of water, home swimming pool. Or that'll make enough chlorine to disinfect a hospital setting, floors or, surgical areas or instruments or things like that. So those devices, those larger systems are being deployed in large numbers in various countries in California. And so we're working with PATH, P-A-T-H, out of Seattle. PATH is an NGO, non-government organization. It is the largest Gates Foundation funded organization annually. They get $350 million a year from Gates to deploy innovative technologies in the developing world, to help people in poor income settings. So we're working with them to put this in a lot of healthcare facilities in Africa, for instance, and Haiti and other places. But the individual device is there for people to take care of water themselves because the infrastructure is not there, or the infrastructure fails, or there's a disaster. Many of these things have been deployed in disasters worldwide, from earthquakes in Nepal to disasters in Puerto Rico to Colombia, you name it. These things have been used, the little devices have been used to make water safe. But there is enough chlorine in it that you can make a small volume to sanitize healthcare facility. And there's information available about how to dose it properly for the right application for sanitizing, cleaning, contaminated surfaces, things like that. So it'll work for that. But
so now, can we talk about what is that? If I wanted for the medical purpose of maybe I've cut myself, what setting would I need to make sure that I'm getting that dosage correct?
Well, you'd need to follow the dilution instructions, but typically you could dose 200 parts per million chlorine on a wound or something to help sanitize it. And so that's a Dakin solution, D-A-K-I-N, that the medical profession knows about for making chlorine at 200 ppm, to treat wounds and stuff.
Wow. I mean, this has got, and it now, is there anything in this, is a lot of this in this pamphlet that comes with this? Does it go into detail on some of these different mixtures? And
there are brochures that are included with some of the devices that have that. You can get that stuff on our website too. But the detailed instructions that are in there are primarily for all the applications of the technology, the dosing, all the details. There's a lot of details associated. We also have a quick start guide that's waterproof, that allows you to quickly get this thing up and running.
Wow, nice. I did not, and I have to check that out. I did not see that on your site either. I need to get myself one of those as well to throw into the pack. How do you being over in Haiti and Africa and all these areas where it's a different world? How much do you see like the Life Straw and Sawyer filter and stuff like that used? Do they even use that over there, or is it this become the go-to?
Well, Life Straw and Sawyer filters and all those things are used a lot. They've been in the business a little longer than we have, certainly. And they put a lot of money marketing these filter systems. But there have been some pretty serious studies done by University of North Carolina and others that show that these filters can fail without notice. You don't know. There's no indication. There's no lights on them that says, oh, by the way, the hollow fiber tube has been breached and now you're drinking dirty water. And so, but they've been marketed heavily. I mean, millions of them used worldwide, and a lot of NGOs still try to use them. But I believe we have the right answer because it's chlorine that kills the bug.
I think you are correct. I have a couple life straws, and it's hard for me to stick that down in a dirty mud puddle and trust that I'm okay when I'm sucking water through that thing. I'm not gonna lie, that's not my first go-to. Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
right. And I know there's a lot of people that's on here who are not life. Now I know the Sawyer filter. Everybody's that's looked a little bit more favor on the Sawyer filters. Um, but
Same thing.
continuous use, I was seeing some stuff on your site talks about Sawyer filter after about 6 weeks they were showing bacteria in the water. Correct?
Operation Blessing International is a big NGO out of West Virginia, or out of Virginia Beach. And it's the 700 Club, Pat Robertson's organization, and he started Operation Blessing International as a disaster relief organization. And they were running a children's home in Mexico. And they had been using Sawyer filters and Life Straw filters down there. And they did a study comparing those against our technology using these bacterial tests. And they showed that these filters, none of them they were using were safe. They showed bacterial contamination, but you put our stuff in the water, it'll kill everything in it, and it was safe. So there's we've got PowerPoint presentations, all that kind of stuff that show, the effectiveness of this technology in a lot of different applications. So.
And guys, on Aqua Research, you guys got quite a few videos on there as well, demonstrating how these two work. You got a ton of information on there, so guys, jump on there and check out what they've got. It's worth the time. And just as a recap, and I know there's a few people that jumped on here later, is guys, I'm not talking against Life Straw and Sawyer filter and stuff like that. By far, have them on hand. But like Rodney is saying, if you use that as the initial to clean the water, to get the dirt out of it and things like that, and you back it up with this little guy here, you've killed everything. It's clean. There's no if, ands, or but, no second guessing that you have clean water at that, or drinkable water at that point.
But again, I say, of the two things you do to water, clean it, get the turbidity down, and add chlorine for killing the bugs. The more important one is killing the bugs. You can eat the dirt, just don't eat the bugs. Okay.
Right.
So
if
you've got both, that's great. If you don't, rely on the chlorine for sure.
Yeah, rely on something that the bacteria is dead and we don't have to worry about it anymore. So yeah, and you guys, once again, it's small, it's compact, it does all the footwork for you. It's got the settings on the front: 1 liter, 2 liter, 5 liter, 10 liter, 20 liter. The prime, of course, is the heavier dose, the 5 parts. And it comes with everything you need. You got your USB port charger here on the bottom. It's solar in case you just don't have that the capabilities to charge it up. Maybe you're out in the middle of nowhere, right? Right there on the bottom there. Oh, it's got a flashlight.
Yes.
Is that what I'm seeing on this thing?
That's right. Hold that button down for 3 seconds.
Let's see here.
There can't be any other lights on the top. There it is. Okay.
And it's got a flashlight. Good night. I mean, it just keeps getting better and better. I mean, if this thing can cook breakfast, I don't need anything else in my life.
If you go to sleep with the flashlight on, it'll shut down in 15 minutes. Just save the battery. So
that is awesome. So yeah, guys, look down in our bio. Click that link. It's on our website right there, and it's in this video. And then use M Readiness for checkout to get you some additional savings. But it comes with all this stuff. It's easy to use. It's compact, and you're literally pennies to run this thing. And it's just salt. I mean, it's just salt. Everything's right there. for you, palm of your hands.
There is
I love
no,
what you're doing.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead,
there
Rodney.
is no cheaper way to make your water safe than that device. So if you take the total number of liters it'll treat over 500 recharges and 250, 240 liters per charge, and divide it by $114 plus 50 cents a year for salt times 10, it's $119, and divide the two out, you'll find that it's like 0.007 cents, 0.030 zeros and a 7 cents per liter treated. There is nothing cheaper. You cannot.
No.
You figure out how much the Sawyer filters will treat, or the life straws. Those things are expensive overall, or chlorine tablets are one of the most expensive forms of chlorination over time. This device is the cheapest way to make your water safe of any technology.
I just like the easy. I mean, easy, friendly, user friendly here. I'm a technology. I don't do well with technology, and so when I got this right here, I mean, it takes all the guesswork out for you. I mean, it tells you what you're getting when you hit that button. You push it, you turn it on, you watch it fizz. It stops fizzing. You pour it in. You wait 30 minutes. That's it. You're ready to drink water. What a phenomenal product. I'm super happy, and that's why I bought two. And guys, you should as well. If there was anything that you put in your kit, this would be it right here. That's number one for me.
Weighs 4 ounces, 108 grams. It's designed to military standards. We've been through freeze, thaw, shock, vibration, and it's got to withstand a 300-pound, 200-pound guy with a 100-pound pack standing on it. I've driven a car over it, and it will not break it. So these things are tough. They're durable, and there's nothing to replace. You can't open them. They're sealed. So there's nothing to replace. It's just very solid and simple and durable. You can throw them across the room and pick them up and use them.
Well, Ronnie, you guys really put a lot of time and energy into the design and I mean, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's phenomenal. It has been a pleasure to have you, Rodney. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap it up? We've been in for an hour.
Well, I think I've covered most of the aspects of it. Interrupted you a couple times to do that, but in general, it's a very good technology. It can save a lot of lives. It can keep you safe in a disaster when the infrastructure goes down. And, there's a lot of threats on the planet today, and, never know what the future holds. But, this device is something can help save your life, under pretty dire situations. So
that's it. Well, everybody, I can't stress enough, guys. Over and over, people like, how do I have clean drinking water if there's a natural disaster, if the grid's down, if I'm lost? I mean, this does it all right here. It's all in the palm of your hand, and you could preload that with salt. Fill these two things up with salt, and what's the shelf life of salt? Forever.
Yeah,
there is no such thing.
I don't think there's a shelf life. Millions of years, longer than you're going to be alive.
So you can load this thing up and throw it in your pack, and there's your capability of clean drinking water and or disinfectant, or both. And all you have to do is have a container. It's that simple, guys.
And there's no shelf life on it. You can leave it in your pack for years and then take it out and use it. It's not like chlorine tablets or other things that have a life on them, or bleach, for instance. This thing, you can just stick it in there and wait till you need it for years. There's nothing, there's nothing to replace, and it's got durable shelf life.
After this is charged up, how long will that set on that charge? Have you guys tested that?
Yeah, we put them in boxes. We charge them up and put them in these boxes, and we did, dark box, sealed them up, and the longest we did it was 3 years, and you take them out and use them, and they're good. They've got battery protection circuits in them. We can transport these like your cell phone. It's It has
3 years in
overprotection
the
and
dark and
underprotection
still
circuits in it.
operated.
What's that?
3 years in the dark and still.
Well, that's the longest we tested it. We didn't test it longer than 3 years. But these
Right.
things have been out there for 10 years. And the return rate on failures has been nil. I mean, almost non-existent. Every once in a while, they'll lose the bottom rubber USB thing, or they'll do something like that. But our returns on these have been extremely low.
Wow. Well, that's it, guys. Look here. Safe, effective, price is right, clean drinking water in palm of your hand, and it has a flashlight. I mean, the end. It's a no-brainer. If you don't have this in your pack, you're missing out. Rodney, I couldn't thank you enough. Love your product, and hope that we can get together again on this. Hopefully in May we can get you there at Mountain Readiness to do some stuff there with us on site.
Okay, and there's one more thing. You've alluded to our website, but it's www.aquaresearch.com.
There it is,
www.aquaresearch.com.
And tons of good information on there. I've been surfing it here for the past week, watching videos. There's some great videos up on there. But couldn't thank you enough, Rodney. Appreciate your time. I know time is hard to come by, and so you spending an hour with us and clarifying on all this stuff it is much appreciated, sir.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. We appreciate it. Yeah, please spread the word, and that's what you're doing.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Life-saving, guys. So, as always, if you're going to move with purpose. We'll see you next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Stay safe.